Okay, 8th graders, in lesson 3-4, we're going to work on ratios, which are kind of like fractions. But remember, the fraction when we were talking about probability was the amount that something could happen out of the total possible amounts. That was the probability that something would happen, or the percent chance that something could happen. Ratios were more like the odds for versus the odds against. Remember that? What was the difference? Odds for versus odds against instead of probability. Remember talking about this?
Yes.
Yep. The odds for something to happen were the chances that, all of the possible chances. Like if you had, let's say that you have, if you had 3 marbles, 3 blue marbles, and 5 yellow M&Ms in a hat, your odds of getting a blue marble were 3 to 8. Wasn't it 5? Yeah, 3 and 5. So 3 to 5, because the odds for is a ratio of the ones that you want versus the ones you don't want.
Wait, didn't you say 5 blue marbles and 7
Yep.
M&Ms?
No, 5. 3 and 5. 3 blue to 5
M&Ms.
yellow. Right? And that's a ratio because these are blue and yellow. It's not 3 out of 8 because that is a total. That's a fraction. Aiden?
So basically, if you had like 5 yellow, 3 blue, and then 4 green, would you, and you want the blues, would you do 3, 9, like 3 to 9?
Yeah. Yep. Because 3 is what you want versus 9 that you don't want. Yep.
Like,
And that's a ratio. That's the point that we're talking about here is ratios compare amounts that are different versus a fraction, which compares amount out of the total. Okay? So today we're talking about ratios. Specifically talking about ratios. Like the Vikings record. No. They're 7-2, Dylan.
7 wins.
Yeah, so that's a ratio of wins to losses, right, Keyshawn?
I said yes.
7 wins, 2 losses. How many games? 9 games. The ratio of wins to losses is different than a fraction of the number of wins. 7 out of 9. Right? Okay? Now, we use ratios a lot when we're talking about quantities. For example, feet and yards, we can write as a ratio. Dylan, what is the ratio of feet to yards?
Is that like 3 to 1?
Yeah, 3 to 1. 3 feet equals 1 yard. Now we can also write it this way. 3 feet equals 1 yard. This is how we'll use it today for finding a proportion to this. Okay. Now, listen. When we write it this way, also, this is written as what's called a unit rate. Okay? Because the unit rate is the amount per, or it's the amount to 1 of the other. It's 3 feet to every 1 yard. That's called a unit rate. Okay? Or you could say it's 3 feet per what? What does per mean? Per means 1. to 1 of the other. Oops, I forgot the word of. To 1 of the other. Okay? So, when we're writing a proportion, we're using this to figure out what would be if there's 3 feet in every 1 yard, how many yards in 42 feet. Here's what you do. You write this as 2 equal ratios, but you write them in fraction form. So 3 feet to 1 yard equals 42 feet to y yards. In other words, we're going to use the variable y to figure out our answer. Okay? This is called a proportion. 2 equal ratios, but we don't know what the fourth quantity is. Okay, Dylan, focus. Do you understand? A proportion is 2 equal ratios. All right? Now, to set up a proportion properly, you just have to have the labels that are the same on the same level. So the feet are on the top level, the yards are on the bottom level. Okay? And then you can solve it. Here's how you solve this proportion. You multiply the numbers that are diagonally across from each other. And it gives you an equation. Watch this. When you multiply 42 times 1, you get what? 42.
Plus 2.
42 times 1, so we multiply these. And you bring down the equal sign. And then you multiply these. What's 3 times y? 3y. Focus, Dylan. And then solve it. How do you solve it?
42 divided by 3.
And?
It's 14.
And? You have to solve it.
3 divided by 3. 42 divided by 3.
Correct.
Y equals 14.
14 what?
Yards.
Yards.
You did that with the calculator? I did that.
Okay? 14 yards. So we take a quantity that we know, which is a true ratio. There's 3 to 1. And then set up a proportion with the labels on the same level. Okay? Let's go to your assignment. Take a look at number 1 first, in the first section. We're going to find unit rates.
Unit rates.
Yep. Remember what unit rates are? It's a ratio
It's a
of 2 amounts. Well, one of them is over 1. So it's a ratio of 2 different things.
This is on page 145.
It's a ratio of an amount per the other. Okay. So on page 145, okay, if you're given $57 for 6 hours, what is the unit rate? In other words, the amount per hour. Do you know how we do that?
Divide it.
You divide it.
Yeah.
I'm so smart.
Jeez,
So set it up this way.
we roll this is the same thing.
It's dollars per hour, right? 57 over 6. And when you divide it, you get the unit rate. What is that?
9.5.
What is it?
9.5.
9.5. Well, 9.5, what does that 9.5 mean? Well, 9.5, how do you say that as a dollar amount?
There's a phone that's
I mean,
going off.
$9.50.
$9.50 per
There's an
hour,
hour,
right?
Nine.
Here.
That's funny. Downlink level.
It's a kitty cat bag. What's a kitty cat bag?
Yep. $57 per 6 hours. So it's $9.50 per hour. And this is called the unit rate. How did you find the unit rate? By dividing. Yep, simple as that. So, you're going to do 2 through 6 doing that. Then let's skip to 9, number 9. It says choose A or B for the correct conversion factor. Now, when we go back to this is called a conversion factor for changing feet to yards, or yards to feet. Okay? These numbers that are ratios that you can use to convert, those are called conversion factors. 3 over 1, 3 feet to 1 yard. What are some other conversion factors? Feet to miles. How many feet are in a mile?
Miles to inches, miles to centimeters.
No, what to inches? Feet to, oh, go ahead.
Into inches.
Feet to inches. How many inches are in a foot?
Inches,
12 inches.
12. Yep. What other do you know? Do you know how many ounces are in a cup? No. A little higher. No. 8. How many quarts are in a gallon? 4. Yeah. That's a conversion factor. 4 quarts to 1 gallon. Okay. How about, let's see, we've covered, how about weight? Pounds and ounces. You know what that one is?
1 pound is 16 ounces.
Yes, 1 pound is 16 ounces. So the conversion factor is 16 to 1. Okay?
Wow.
What about horsepower to weight ratio?
Horsepower to weight ratio. I don't know that.
Never heard of that.
There's a car who has a horsepower to weight ratio of 1 to 1.
Is that thing still recording?
Yes. Yep.
Goodness.
So what I want you to do is 9 through 15 also.
Hi, YouTube.
Okay, so 1 through 6 and then 9 through 15, okay? For tomorrow.
You kicked the bag.